Well, we wrapped up one of the busiest sessions in the last 7 years. We were able to accomplish a lot. I'm very, very happy. We got through Bill 5, and Bill 5 is going to bring prosperity, especially to our First Nations community, and support them and prosperity and growth and job opportunities. And we just look forward to getting out throughout the province. I personally am going to have an extremely busy summer. I plan on going over and visiting Premier Smith out in Alberta, promote the pipelines. I'm going to be heading down to Boston with a bunch of governors down there to advocate for a great free and fair trade deal. I'll be heading down south in one of the largest labor conventions there is to speak to our great partners in labor, and I think I'm going to be every other spot in the province. But we're going to move the province forward, and we always have to remember Donald Trump is attacking us on a daily basis. Had an opportunity to speak to the Prime Minister yesterday, and I know he's in deep discussions right now with the administration in the U.S. and President Trump, but I was very clear with my message. The ideal situation is to get a deal, and if that deal does not happen in the next few days, then we have to slap another 25% tariff on top of the existing 25% tariff on our aluminum steel. But I think the Prime Minister is doing an incredible job on negotiating, along with Mr. LeBlanc as well. But we're in very close contact almost on a daily basis.
So, Premier, is that, do you think that you want to wait, or sorry, do you have more to say?
No, it's fine. No, thanks, Benzie. That's all right. No, not anymore. I don't.
So you spoke to Prime Minister Carney yesterday.
Yes.
He told you about these discussions that are going on with the United States.
That's right.
I know you met with the U.S. ambassador the day before.
Yes.
Are you going to change your tone a little bit on the counter tariffs, like maybe to turn the temperature down because there are ongoing talks and you don't want to do anything to derail those talks?
No. I'm going to continue fighting for steel jobs and aluminum jobs. I have the utmost respect for the Prime Minister and his job. He's negotiating, but I have to protect the people of Ontario. That's what I ran on. I'm getting a lot of calls from the steel producers and fabricators right across our province, and we're going to do everything we can to protect the jobs. We're going to start onshoring the $30 billion of steel, no matter if it's rebar or steel beams or even in the aluminum sector. The aluminum cans that the beverage companies and the beer companies use, we're going to onboard that as well. And I know Minister Fideli's been out there speaking to companies to onshore everything we possibly can until we never have to rely on the U.S. with these tariffs. That's what we're going to do. And it's a $15 billion tax on the back of Americans. What the president has come out and with these tariffs, everything's going up, and they're going to lose a tremendous amount of jobs because of this. Yes.
Premier, what more do you know about these talks? You mentioned in your opening remarks that the Prime Minister was engaged in these, and then in a few days' time he'll be deciding about the counter tariff. So is he holding off on increasing them because these talks are going so well?
Well, I'm not going to speak on behalf of the Prime Minister. I just know that they're right at the brink. They're working hard around the clock to try to get a deal. Now, we know President Trump, he wakes up in the morning, he could change his mind, and we'll be monitoring and discussing this with the Prime Minister on a daily basis until they get a deal or they don't get a deal. And let's just all hope they get a deal, but if they don't, we have to come out guns a-blazing and make sure that the American people understand it's not against them. And I know a lot of Congress people and senators and governors that I talk to, they want a deal. They want to get a deal as quickly as possible. That's the ideal situation.
Are you taking the Prime Minister's lead on when a deal can be achieved? Because in theory, a deal could be possible for the next 4 years, right? When does guns a-blazing start?
Well, I think guns a-blazing starts if President Trump says, no, we don't have a deal, we're going to continue tariffing your country. I find it ironic that China is getting a better treatment than its closest friends and allies. That's unacceptable. We should be the first country in line to get a fair trade deal because it benefits Americans and Canadians. I really believe that he's short-sighted. He's not seeing the forest beyond the trees right now, President Trump, because at the end of the day, it's going to hurt Americans across the board. Anything that's produced by steel, we've seen it. The cost has gone up 16% because of his actions. What the problem is China. They're shipping in steel, slapping a flag of certain countries on their steel and saying, hey, it was made here. Well, it's not made there. That's the flow we have to stop. I mentioned that to the Prime Minister, and the President has to realize that as well.
Premier, you've got the power, of course, to slap the fees on the electricity that Ontario imports. Are you holding off on that for the moment? Or when are you willing to
Well,
put that on the table?
everything's on the table right now. Hopefully that we won't come to that. Let's try to strike a deal in the best interest of Americans and Canadians. And I know Minister Lecce, he'll be traveling around Ontario as well as Minister Rickford, and that's what Minister Rickford's doing right now, consulting with our great partners in First Nations communities. And Vic will be traveling around the world, attracting new investments here.
So are you saying, though, that you won't slap on the export fee onto the electricity until you get green light from the Prime Minister?
Well, to be very frank, with all due respect to the Prime Minister, he doesn't have to give me the green light. What I want to do is get a deal. That's the last thing I want to do, because I don't want to hurt the Americans. I don't want to hurt my friend, governor in Minnesota, or a great governor in Michigan and New York. I can pick up the phone and talk to him any minute. That's President Trump. Tell him I'll call him back. But we'll continue to work hard to get a deal. That's the most important thing.
Premier, did you talk to the Prime Minister about your 401 tunnel proposal? And if so, what did Mr. Carney say about that?
Well, that was one of the items in our large national infrastructure projects, is the tunnel. And he'll make a decision. Everyone was at the table. Everyone was giving him their top 5 infrastructure projects. But our key one is building the road to the Ring of Fire, and second is small modular reactors and large-scale nuclear as well. So those are our 2 key. They're going to drive the economy more than anything right now. And I know he has a whole list from other premiers. But I'm going to be out there supporting Premier Daniel Smith on pipelines. We need pipelines. We have to make sure pipelines get out to other markets. We're landlocked right now with the U.S., and our hands are tied. So let's untie our hands. Let's start going to maybe James Bay, the deep sea port, and start shipping it out around the world, our great critical minerals and our oil as well.
Premier, on Bill 5, there's a cluster of tents out there.
Guys to designate the Ring of Fire as an economic zone. Will that happen in the next 6 months, next 3 months?
We're going to do it as quickly as possible, Colin, because we need to start moving on that. We have a lot of excitement and a great partnership with Chief Sonny. He actually just texted me his new number last night, and I'm going to give him a call. He's an absolute champion because, he's thinking outside the box. His community and communities around him are going to see prosperity. They're going to see a road that they never had. They're going to get off the diesel that they've been living on and get electricity. They have an equity partnership and a $200 million electricity line, I believe, Minister. He wants prosperity until as simple as we take for granted. He needs a community center. He wants a hockey arena. That all comes in the quality of life, and he wants jobs for his young people. And he wants to take advantage of the training, the $70 million. He wants his young people to get those scholarships that we've offered $10 million. And we have $3 billion of equity partnership to the First Nations.
When you designate those places as special economic zones,
Yes.
what are the actual laws that you want to exempt these projects from? And are there any laws that you're going to take off the table right now and say absolutely we will not make exemptions to these particular laws?
Well, I just want to speed up the process. Let's talk about mining. We're last place in the entire world when it comes to getting a permit. It takes 14, 15, 16 years to get a permit. As the Prime Minister said, he wants to get these permits sooner than 24 months. And very, very similar to BC. They're speeding up the permits too. But no permits move forward without proper consultation, respecting duty to consult, respecting treaty rights, respecting the Constitution. And there's First Nations communities, no matter if it's Webequie or Martin Falls or Arrowland, that are as excited as anything to start moving forward and really prospering. This is a once-in-a-generation opportunity for First Nations communities, and I understand some may disagree, but I'll tell you, a lot of them agree as we sit down and they see opportunities.
Premier, there's a encampment of First Nations tents.
Allow you to
up
do a
at-
lot more than just speed up the mining, right?
Yeah.
Other parts of Bill 5 that speed up the mining improvements.
Yeah.
What laws will you exempt companies from in these special economics?
Well, let's see what companies come to the table, and depending on how quickly we can get opportunities and jobs, we'll review them. It's not, the same thing for every situation, and when we feel that we need to speed things up, we'll speed things up. But I'm going to continue going through the process, the proper processes, and one of the most important is making sure we consult with stakeholders, consult with communities, and First Nations. That's what we're going to do. Make sure we communicate. And I'm going to give an opportunity to Minister Lecce, then over to Minister Fedeli to tell you what they're going to be doing over the summer. So I'll start with you, Minister Lecce.
I think the Minister Rickford, as we speak, is right now meeting with First Nation leaders to really kickstart and continue on the consultation as we build out regulations, which is the action plan. The government has said we're going to keep consulting meaningfully, and we, over the course of the coming months, are going to be doing a lot of that heavy lifting. The Premier too. We're all going to be part of this endeavor to really listen to those voices and help build a common vision for responsible resource development that unlocks the bounty of resource to change the lives of Northerners and to ensure Indigenous share in that bounty. And there's a reason why the Premier made it his priority in the most recent budget to increase funding to ensure Indigenous leaders could buy in and own the projects. $3 billion is not insignificant when the feds put $5 billion on the table for Canada. So we talk about leadership, we're investing, we're bringing forth legislative tools, we're committing to continuing to consult. And I think that's how we build out an energy future that gets our resources to the marketplace. Because the problem we're trying to solve, at least for the mining side specifically, is it takes too long to do basic things. And if we all, in the legislature, we hear about nation building. To achieve that, we've got to have a system that gets to yes in a reasonable timeline. And if the EU can do it, if Australia can do it, if Alberta can do it, Saskatchewan can do it, the New Democrats of BC can do it, then we're saying here in Ontario we can do it too. I'll turn it over to Vic.
You've heard us talk for the last few years that we've landed in Ontario $70 billion worth of new business in the last 4 years. We've seen businesses hire 1 million new jobs. But all that is coming to an abrupt halt with President Trump's tariffs, not only here in Ontario but around the world. Our deal flow is shrinking, and around the world, capital is being reserved, it's being hoarded, but it's eager to be unleashed when all this comes to fruition. And we are around the world continuing to bring our message. And we hear it from countries and from companies around the world that in this great world of turmoil with the war in Ukraine and in Israel, that they look across the ocean at this beacon of hope. And I'm very sincere when I say that. It's like a beacon of light, and that's Ontario. We're stable, reliable, dependable, predictable, almost boring, which is a good thing in business. They understand what they're going to get when they come here. And that capital that's building up needs to unleash. And we want them to know that when they come to Ontario, it can be unleashed very quickly here. They don't have to wait 15 years to get a permit. They'll go elsewhere. All of that patient capital is now looking for a place, a stable place to land. And they see Ontario, and they hear what we're doing here, and they understand what we're doing here. So it's going to be a busy summer.
Well, it's going to be, we're going to be consulting all summer, both Minister Rickford and Minister Lecce and myself and Minister Fideli. We're all out there communicating, coming up with a plan. And again, if someone doesn't want to move forward, well, it's going to hurt their community. This is an opportunity, but I'll tell you, the chiefs, and I've met many chiefs, they're super smart individuals. They have one priority: take care of their community, have prosperity. And one chief said, I want a better quality of life for my community and my young people and my children than what I had. And they're going to get it. They're going to have the opportunity to do that.
Last question. Why not advance, get ahead of this, and bring your ideas for Bill 5 to First Nations leadership beforehand, so you wouldn't have had what we saw in front of the legislature, what we've seen, what we saw yesterday. You might have a chance at actually bringing First Nations leaders who aren't keen on this plan along with you, wouldn't you? Basic governing.
But you know something, we've been consulting with First Nations since I've been in office here. And we see the ones that are progressive, ones that want to move forward, ones that are excited about the opportunity of getting off diesel and having proper health care and proper food and activities and jobs for their whole community. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to keep pushing. We're going to continue to push forward with the mandate. I was very clear. I was very, very clear on our campaign, what I was doing. I mentioned almost every single speech that we're going to move forward. In every single speech, I said we're going to make sure that we include consultation with the First Nations, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing continuously. I'm going to be meeting with a tremendous amount of chiefs. We have COF going on as well. We're going to have all the premiers here, and I mentioned to the rest of the premiers, we're going to have First Nations communities at the table, as we do at every single COF, and we're going to have great discussions from coast to coast to coast. So that's the feeling with all the premiers. We're going to have a great meeting up in Muskoka. I welcome you all there, and we're going to showcase Ontario. What a great place it is.
How seriously do you take the threats of highway blockades that we heard from the chiefs here yesterday? Some of them talking about Trans-Canada, the 400, the 401, and we've also got an encampment of tents up near the museum subway station.
I'm hoping that really doesn't happen. We have one law, one country, one province. The police will deal with it if it happens, but I really hope that doesn't happen, because again, when I talk to the chiefs, a lot of them are excited for an opportunity. They're excited to be equity partners, and we have $3 billion sitting in the window saying, please come and be a partner with us. And we're going to continue moving on. What I can tell you, there's some chiefs that will never agree. Some are watching, and others are really gung-ho and really excited to move forward with their projects. So we'll take one more question.
So Elon Musk and President Trump no longer seem to be friends. Is the Starlink deal still in the process of being canceled, or what's the deal?
Yeah, Starlink's is done, and are we surprised that they're not seeing eye to eye? I predicted that as soon as that marriage happened. I thought there'd be a divorce real quick. And,
but is the deal just canceled, ripped up? And
we're done.
Kind of cancellation fee as a result?
Well, we're working on that right now. We're sitting down with the company. I don't want to deal with someone that's attacking our country, and he was one of the number one culprits, Elon Musk, and that's unacceptable. I can't do business with someone that's doing that. One more question.
Can you address the criticism that you were a coward for missing the vote yesterday? I understand.
Well, I'm leading the charge. Yeah.
Is this not the most important bill of your government session?
Well, you know something, I was in the building, I was on the phone with one of President Trump's key allies, a congressperson, and ran a little late. They wanted to play a little politics and play the shell game, but make no mistake about it, I'm leading the charge on Bill 5. We're going to continue moving forward, and I'll always make sure I'm front and center and moving forward. But I want to wish you all the best. I think, oh, sorry, Jamie, you get...
I just want to ask about tow trucks, the ecosystem around tow trucks.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of violence being used for Trump. Several people were arrested. The ecosystem goes to body shops,
Yeah. Yeah, good point. What I understand, they got 10 out of the 11 people that did the shooting out in Scarborough. I'd get every one of those son of a guns, throw them in jail, don't give them bail, send a message to the rest of the industry that this is unacceptable. There's some really good, hard-working tow truck drivers. I think the vast majority of them want to bring a paycheck home to their families. They work hard, and they don't condone this sort of behavior that we have seen. But I have all the confidence in the police that they've captured 10 out of the 11. They're going to capture the other one, throw them in jail, and a message to the judges: don't even think of letting them out on bail. We have to make sure that we keep these thugs, these criminals, from terrorizing our neighborhoods, because innocent people get in the way, and in some cases they lose their life. So tough on crime. Let's throw these guys in jail.
All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
I apologize, Jamie. Has to be the last one. Sorry.
Like the ball's in your court as far as licensing. I know you restrict the tow trucks on the 401, but is it something?
Yeah, I just don't want to paint a broad brush across all hardworking tow truck drivers and companies. We got to get the bad apples, throw them in jail, send a message. This is unacceptable. We won't tolerate it for a second. But thanks, everyone, and we'll see you on the road. Thank you.
Would you